I'm here to tell you that many individuals and agencies that want you to believe that legalizing or decriminalizing sex industries will make things better for women in the sex trade, that I was in the legal brothels of Nevada, as well as the illegal ones. I have witnessed and lost women in my life, and that was close to my heart. Making prostitution legitimate work and legalizing prostitution will not bring an end to the violence of women in the sex industry.
From escaping my pimp, I worked in brothels that were licensed in Edinburgh. There were heroin use going on downstairs. The man behind the desk who owned the premises was evil. He was brutal. He insisted that for certain clients we didn't use condoms because they were his friends, and if you didn't comply, you were sacked. Just over the bridge in Edinburgh was a horrendous scene of underground street prostitution. Nobody ever went into them premises to check that everything was above board. Nobody bothered. They licensed it and they left the women to continue to be abused. But in very plush and opulent surroundings. There was plenty of silk sheets and frills and trims for the men, of course. For the women, you got no rights whatsoever.
I think that one of the things about legalization is, in a nutshell, that it makes the harm to women invisible. And once you legalize it and once you institutionalize it, indeed, it does not protect women. It just erases the harm. It makes it as if there never is any harm, because the harm itself has been legalized. That in countries where you have legalized or decriminalized the sex industry, there are either no exit programs or there are few. Why are there no exit programs? Because why would you exit from something that has been made normal? Why would the state support that? Why would the state encourage it? It's not a crime. It's not a human rights violation. It's not viewed as violence against women. Therefore, voila, no exit programs.
Une annonce propose un emploi de collaboratrice pour sex club ou bordel, même sans expérience.
Vous décidez de votre plein gré d'exercer la profession de prostituée dans un endroit privé, ouvert au public, dans lequel on pratique professionnellement des actes sexuels.
Dans la prostitution, il n'y a pas de promotion sociale, comme je l'ai toujours dit en néerlandais. La seule promotion qu'on fait, c'est du trottoir à l'égout. Ça, c'est la promotion prostitution. Donc, je ne crois pas qu'on peut aller mettre la prostitution sur le même pied d'égalité à un travail comme n'importe lequel d'autre.
Det är det som är väldigt viktigt för mig. Just att vi inte ser kvinnor i prostitution som någonting annat än systrar till oss. Men det som också händer är ju att när man accepterar att män har rätt att utnyttja kvinnor precis när de vill, hur de vill, och mot betalning, så påverkar det ju inte bara de kvinnorna och flickorna som är utsatta för prostitutionen direkt, utan det påverkar ju oss allihopa. Och ju mer prostitution accepteras som något alldeles normalt i ett samhälle, ju mer kommer vi ju allihopa, och det är vi ju redan, betraktas som någonting som man kan utnyttja.
Las mujeres están totalmente en una relación desigual y en relación al poder de los hombres y al poder patriarcal. Y realmente legalizar la prostitución sería, o sea, de alguna manera, dar legitimidad a esta situación.
It will legalize a new definition of slavery. And women who are from other countries, women who are trafficked, will bear the burden of the violence from those consumers who want more exotic women, more exotic sex, and more exotic forms of slavery.
Who are the ones who's got the choice in this market? Of course, it's the client. It is always the client that chooses. He's got his own choice, no one else in that matter. And we continue discussing the prostitute women and telling, well, are they forced or aren't they? Even though we have figures, we have a know-how since almost 4,000 years. So far, we haven't visualized the demanding side. Isn't this incredible? They always go free, the ones who's got the choice.
I don't want to attack women involved in prostitution. I want to attack the system of prostitution. And I think that when you spoke about the demand, nowhere do we talk about the demand, nowhere do we address the demand, and until we do that, we can take as many women out of prostitution, but there will always be a million more to step in the shoes of the vulnerable.
Ja, for det første så synes jeg det viktigste at vi setter ansvaret vårt hører hjemme. Fordi at vi vil ikke ha noen prostitusjon i Island eller noen trafficking eller halte med kvinner hvis ikke det var på grunn av at islandske menn kjøper kvinner.
And I'm very surprised that many anti-racist organizations in Europe, many human rights organizations in Europe, many anti-globalization organizations in Europe are not looking at if trafficking and prostitution raise some racism against women, and why do anti-racist organizations do not attack this problem? And those who attack the globalization in Europe, the problems of globalization of money, why do not they attack the globalization of the sex industry in Europe?
Kan inte tillåta att de kvinnorna som befinner sig i prostitution inte får den solidaritet som vi har med kvinnor som är utsatta för andra mäns våld.
The National Rapporteur of Sweden says there are about 400 to 600 trafficked women victims in Sweden. In our neighboring countries like Norway, they got more than 5,000. In Denmark, approximately 7,000. In Finland, about 10 to 15,000. So I used to ask myself, are men living in Sweden more or less horny than our neighbor country citizens? Of course not. There has to be other reasons. And I'm absolutely positive by know-how today that this is because we have criminalized the buyer. Mm-hmm.
La Suède est un bon exemple. Je crois qu'il n'y avait pas eu autant de femmes en politique, il n'y aurait pas jamais eu cette loi non plus et cette compréhension du mécanisme qu'il peut y avoir en dessous sur toute cette violence et ce droit qui en fait ne doit plus exister à pouvoir disposer des femmes comme d'objets sexuels.